It's a great day in SimWorld, everybody. Good morning and welcome to SimWorld Today. I'm B-Ron, and alongside me is my co-host. You may remember from the first time we did this thing back in the day of SimWorld Today, Siege. Good morning, man. How you doing?
Dude, I'm doing great. Woke up today, so it could be worse, and I'm excited to be back on the show.
Yeah, it's good to have you back here, man. Really, really is. We did our thing last night on commentary. Let's carry it over into this morning, shall we?
Yeah, let's
Let's
do
talk
it.
about some SWBA. Look, the All Star break is behind us now. We're not going to talk about the dunk contest and the All Star game and 3-point shootout, how to improve it, all that stuff. We're going to talk about instead about teams going forward and which teams do you have in mind that have the most to prove after the All Star break.
Look, I think most to prove there's a few teams that still have a lot to prove from before the All Star break. The first team that comes to mind, and call it bias if you want, but I think the Bucks have a lot to prove. I mean, Dame came in, won the 3-point contest, won the MVP for the All Star game. They were 3-7 with Doc Rivers before the All Star game. They've got something to prove in terms of did they make the right decision on firing Adrian Griffin and hiring Doc Rivers. I think another team that's got a lot to prove in my mind, and I thought they had a lot to prove before then. I still think the Lakers have a lot to prove. Are they still a team that's a contender? Are they not? But when you got LeBron on the team, you're always a contender in my mind. So those two teams are big ones for me. This might be a shock one, but I think the Thunder have something to prove all season long. Yes, they've been phenomenal.
Okay.
But the question is that consistent? Will they stay, the best team in the West, so to say? Because yeah, they had a really hot start, but it's a really young team. Can they play the whole season at the level that they're playing right now?
Yeah, that's fair. Those are all really good picks. One of mine was also the Bucks. Um, but I have, I'm gonna start in the West. I've got here the Jazz, both the Jazz and the Warriors. Warriors right now they're sitting at 27 and 26. You know, um, and the Jazz are 26 and 30. But it's weird saying that we have a losing team, a team with a losing record has an improvement being in the race to try to get into the playoffs or that play-in spot, play-in tournament to get into the playoffs. So if they can get there, if the Warriors can, go on a little bit of a run here and try to maybe get back to some of that magic they had a few years ago, because they still have those same guys on the team. Clay, Steph, Draymond is still there. So I feel like if you have those guys on the team, just like with LeBron, you have a chance to make something happen. So if those two teams can figure out ways to improve their situations, I think that they'll be they have something to prove coming into the second half of the season. And then one team out in the Eastern Conference that I also have in mind. Looking at it, I'm trying to focus on teams that are like in the bottom towards the bottom of things, but I also want to look at someone like the Pacers too.
Yeah,
Um, I think that I think they're in a bit of a danger zone being with their record being where it is. Um, they're 35 and 31 and 25 right now. But, there's always a chance of slip-ups happening, and yes, they have Chris Halliburton, but there's still, a little bit of uncertainty there in that regard for me, so we'll see how that goes for sure.
yeah. I mean, that Pacers team is really good. To be honest, I think they're dangerous. They've beaten a lot of really good teams. They've beaten just about every one of the best teams in the East. Tyrese Halliburton, to me, the second half of the season after the All Star break for them is about proving that Pascal Siakam was the right All Star to pair with Tyrese Halliburton. I really love that trade for them. But only time will tell how that's going to work out and how they're going to mesh, what the dynamic's going to look like there.
Yeah, sure, 100%, 100%. Well, look, let's switch gears here. Let's talk some SWFL. Just like, with Super Bowl being behind us and everything now, all of that kind of talk is over transitioning to the next phase of things here, and that's the off season. And with that, it comes re-signing of players, franchise tagging, all that stuff. Who are some top priorities in your mind for the franchise tag in the offseason for the SWFL? Keep in mind, the franchise tag is an optional thing. Something you
Yeah.
can do, you don't have to do it. But who would you say if a deal can't be reached? who would you say will be some key players to franchise tag?
Look, the guy who's sitting heavy on my mind, and he's a little older. Maybe he's not kind of the superstar he used to be, but Mike Evans. I mean, he's about to be a free agent, if I'm not mistaken. And look, he came out and he said that he's waiting to see what the Bucks do with Baker Mayfield. If they keep it him, Baker Mayfield seems like he really rallied this locker room, and everybody loves him on that team.
Yeah.
But Mike Evans is still that guy. I'm not really sure why people are thinking he's too old. I mean, he's consistently one of the best receivers in the league. If you look at stats, if you look at his impact. But to me, the question then comes: is he worth that franchise tag? If you're not going to
Right.
have a Baker Mayfield, if you're maybe going to have an off year, is he worth doing that to, or do you send him on his way? But he's a guy I definitely have my eyes on in terms of that.
Yeah, they say Baker Mayfield or Baker may revitalize the locker room. uh, one of the guys I have in mind is from my Ravens, Justin Madubuike, defensive tackle. He had 13 sacks last season, which is the most by a Raven in 9 years, believe it or not, which is kind of crazy to think about it. Coming from a team who's known for their defense to have that kind of history be made. But look, that alone says how vital he is to the roster and to that defense, especially. So he's one for me that I would think that if you can't reach a deal with him, you definitely franchise tag him and kick that can down the road till next season.
Absolutely. The only other one that really comes to mind when I think about it is correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure Chris Jones, the nose tackle for the Chiefs, is about to be a free agent. That guy is a monster. That guy's a guy that I'm not really trying to lose. I think he's the heart of that defense, who looked really good in that Super Bowl. That defense looked phenomenal, if you ask me. I'm not letting Chris Jones go anyway. If I can't reach a deal here, you're staying right where you are, buddy.
Right, yeah, you're staying and we're gonna figure it out, man. We're gonna figure it out. Another one I have in mind is the linebacker Josh Allen from the
Yeah,
Jaguars.
he's
He's
nice.
the one who yeah, and again, career best season of his career this past season, 17 and a half sacks, a Jaguars franchise record. He ranked 6th in pressures last season, and he was also tied for 10th in sacks. So again, like his value to that defense, both in pass rushing in particular, so important. We know they're in that AFC South where you've got the Texans, Colts, and Titans there. So you got to try to get pressure on those quarterbacks, especially Trevor Lawrence, and now the CJ Stroud emergence. They're gonna have a tough division over there to try to deal with them. So he doesn't want to try to get pressure on those guys. And Josh Allen would definitely help you to do both of those things, for sure. And Marsh be happy about that. I'm sure if they can lock him up for another year. But look, let's get into our final topic of the day because we have a guest joining us this morning. We have the coach for the reigning, defending, undisputed Race One champions, Coach aside Drayton of Beast of the East. How you doing, Coach? Good morning. Good to have you here. I hope this intro satisfied you this morning.
You know it's a pleasure always be on here. And when you say my name, don't forget the dollar signs because it's dollar signs over S's when you say aside.
Well, look, Coach, it's good to have you back on the show. I believe this is your third time being on. You're getting ever so closer to that elusive 5-time mark here. Uh, I'm gonna jump right into my first question I have for you here. Uh, with the team, playing as well as they are, you guys are playing Lakeshore Drive today in the game of the week. What are you looking forward to most about facing them?
The thing that I look most forward to is I see Lakeshore Drive is they're kind of a similar team to how my team is. It's a true point at the one, uh, a shot creating guy who can get their own shot at the two, a really versatile wing at the three. Uh, Witness work isn't necessarily a post scorer, but he's a big that scores in the paint,
He's a
slashes
dog.
like
Yeah.
Levin Cutler, and Kyrie Hortzclaws is a paint defender just like JoJo Kearney is. So it's kind of like a dream matchup for me because it'd be how would I defend and go against myself.
Yeah, it's almost like you're playing Mario Kart on mirror mode. Yeah.
Coach, it might be similar in the players kind of play style as you're saying, but one big difference to me, y'all are polar opposites in this regard. Is you're well known for using a very well versed rotation. You throw a lot of guys out there. You throw a big rotation out there. You give a lot of guys minutes, and you kind of mix it up. Lakeshore has kind of start to become known for they don't play a big rotation at all. They're playing 7, 8 guys. The majority of the game, their starters play more minutes than just about anybody else in the league. How do you kind of combat that? Because there's something to be said for a team putting a limited number of players out there to let them kind of get a flow going, let them get that chemistry going. Is that something that you've got on your radar?
Well, I know I'm kind of the odd man out. I truly believe that prep basketball is developmental basketball. So I want all my guys to see time on the court. And while I personally wouldn't be like, yeah, every off my best five is gonna play 32 minutes. I wouldn't necessarily say that I have a problem with it. It makes you kind of easier to game plan against because if I know for a fact that these guys only have this capability and this lineup has this deficit, then I can create a lineup and set matchups to where I can attack that weakness.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. But all right, so let's talk about the elephant in the room. Am I going to get to see Isaiah James go up against D'Angelo Jordan today? Do I get to see that?
Oh, you know he woke up early in the morning for this one. This that I wouldn't. Whenever we have one of those like big marquee scores, he tells me ahead of time. He's like, "Hey, even if I'm not in your plans, please let me guard them." And I'm like, "Hey, as a defensive guy myself, it'd be wrong of me to not give him that opportunity."
Yeah, looking forward to
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, I that's something I would love to see happen as well. So I'm sure we'll get to see that. Another question I have for you this morning, Coach. Now that you had some time with this team here, minus a few pieces, Busky and Redmond come to mind. How does this team differ from your team from last season that won the championship?
I would say that this team is definitely to me is more versatile. I felt like we were a stronger defensive unit last year. I think a lot of people, even myself, sometimes didn't appreciate how well Busky played defense. And Fareed, while he wasn't known for it, definitely was a little more gritty on defense than people would give him credit for. But overall, as a unit, I think this is a better, more versatile team. I think I put a lot of the offensive pressure on Fareed's shoulders, and there were games where I lost the team the game because I needed Fareed to score 25 when I had other scores that could have divvied up the pot.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I have one more question for you. Um, The look, you guys are again, playing against Lakeshore Drive. You know that their coach Rosante Vance, he had some words for you got for your team on social media after things were announced, all that stuff. Some of your players responded, but do you have any comments for him heading into today's game?
That's kind of like muddy waters because as an owner, I would see him as a higher up, and I wouldn't want to disrespect the team's higher up. But as a coach, he's kind of like my peer, so like it's kind of muddy waters. But
No, go
when
ahead.
we
Your
win, I
perspective.
got something special for him. I definitely got something special for him, and I that's all I can really say. I won't say what it is, but when owner slash coach slash cheerleader slash hype man Rosante Vance. When we go into Chicago and play them, I got something special for him.
Well, yeah, look, we're looking forward to seeing what that is, Coach Drayton. Thank you for joining us this morning. We really appreciate your time. Have a good day and good luck in your game this evening.
It's always a pleasure being here, man.
Have a good one, Coach. Oh, all right, you guys. That's gonna wrap it up for our show today. Thank you again to Siege for joining me this morning on SimWorld today, and thanks again to Coach Reed for joining us. Remember, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Hit the notify bell so you know when all of our videos, shows, games, and all stuff go live on the channel. And speaking of games, we got a big slate of games today. Doubleheader for games, 7 o'clock. Beats the East Lakeshore Drive game of the week, and the ATL and Yacht Club at 8 o'clock. Be sure to tune in for those this evening. And remember, guys, SimWorld is the only place where you can do what, Siege?
See the game, be the game.
We'll see you tomorrow.
This has been a presentation of SimWorld Sports.